Welcome to the Fire Time Podcast, where it's never hot enough, slow is fast, and the way to win is to make it so stupidly easy to buy from you that there's no excuse not to. I'm your host, Tim Reed. And once again, I'm so excited to be here today. Welcome to the Fire Time Podcast. Well, hey, we are continuing to move ahead with our summer series of Fire Time Magazine rapid reaction episodes where we listen together to an audio article from the Fire Time Magazine. And then as soon as it's over, I hit record and give you my rapid reaction to it. Now, I love these episodes, and we do these a couple times a year as we prepare content for our upcoming seasons. And that's what we're doing right now is we're in the middle of preparing content for the new season of the podcast, which will come out the Tuesday after Labor Day. But I always like looking through past Fire Time Magazine articles just to see what we should highlight here. The purpose of the Fire Time Magazine is to showcase voices from all over our industry. And it's just a joy to be able to have content like this that's produced on a regular basis. So today's article is going to be one written by my friend Gideon Honeycutt that came out in the May 2026 issue of the Fire Time Magazine. And it is called Enjoy Being Wrong. I mean, the title says it all. And this is a piece that is short and sweet. And my goodness, it slaps. It really, really does. So, we're going to jump right into it. Gideon's been on this podcast before. We're actually going to have him as a guest in this upcoming season to talk about some really cool stuff. But man, as I was looking through these articles to go through this one, there's no way we could pass it up. So, let's jump in and listen to it. Enjoy being wrong. And as soon as it's over, I'm going to hit record and give you my rapid reaction.
Enjoy Being Wrong by Gideon Honeycutt. Author's note: this brief essay is different than most. It's not strictly related to our industry, but rather a reflection on life more broadly. That said, I believe it's deeply applicable to what we do. The inspiration for this article came from a realization I had a few weeks ago. I'd been completely wrong about an opinion relating to our industry, an opinion I would have vehemently defended not long ago. And yet, that realization felt like a breath of fresh air. I hope that as you read this, you'll begin to find the same sense of freedom and even joy in being wrong. Trading illusion for clarity. I've always been confused by people who take an offense of being wrong. The reaction shows up in different forms. Sometimes it's embarrassment, an internal wince at having missed something. Sometimes it's anger, directed at whoever exposed the flaw. Sometimes it's envy, resentment toward those who got it right. And sometimes it takes more dangerous shapes, denial of reality, endless argumentation to defend a crumbling position, or a quiet detachment from truth itself as the mind scrambles to preserve ego over accuracy. I've never understood it, because I've always found a strange kind of satisfaction in being wrong. That doesn't mean I surrender my position lightly. Quite the opposite. I'll argue, test, defend, and pressure my own beliefs from every angle. I'll push them as far as they can go. But when a position finally collapses, when it can no longer be honestly defended, I don't feel defeated. I feel relieved. Because in that moment, I've traded illusion for clarity. And that's a trade we're celebrating. Being wrong doesn't make you foolish. Refusing to be wrong does. No one is always right. That's not a flaw. It's a fundamental condition of being human. We operate with limited information, imperfect reasoning, and constantly changing circumstances. Of course we're going to get things wrong. But somewhere along the way, we started treating being wrong as a character defect rather than what it really is, a step in the process of getting closer to truth. The irony is that most of the embarrassment isn't external, it's internal. You assume others see you as foolish, when in reality, no one is as attached to your position as you are. The only person tying your identity to your correctness is you. And that's the problem. Because once your identity is fused to your position, you're no longer seeking truth. You're defending yourself. Admitting you're wrong doesn't make you look foolish. Defending what you know is indefensible does. Growing by getting it wrong. Most people experience being wrong as a loss. I experience it as a gain. If I believed something inaccurate 5 minutes ago, and now I don't, I'm objectively better off than I was before. My understanding is sharper. My decision-making is better. My future actions are more aligned with reality. That's not a loss. That's a progression. Think about the alternative. If you refuse to admit you're wrong, you don't preserve your intelligence. You freeze it. You lock yourself in outdated beliefs and force your life to operate around them. Being wrong, when embraced, is one of the fastest ways to grow. Every correction is an upgrade. Getting to be right. This is the part most people miss, and the part I enjoy the most. When I discover I'm wrong and fully accept it, I gain something incredibly valuable. Confidence. Before, I had a belief. I thought it was right based on what I knew. But now I've tested the opposing side. I've argued it. I've lived in it. And I've watched it fail under scrutiny. Which means when I'm adopting a new position, I'm not just guessing. I know. There's a unique strength that comes from having once held the opposite view. You understand its logic, its appeal, and its weaknesses. You're not easily shaken because you've already been the gatekeeper of the other side. That's a level of conviction you can't fake. You've earned it. Enjoying the process. Most people treat being wrong like a personal failure, but it's not. It's a signal, a correction, a necessary step toward getting things right. If you can learn to detach your identity from your opinions, something powerful happens. You become free to change, free to adapt, free to improve at a pace most never will. Because while others are busy protecting their ego, you're busy upgrading your understanding. So don't just tolerate being wrong. Enjoy it. It means you're getting closer to truth.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that audio article by Gideon Honeycutt. Like I said, I mean, it is short and sweet, but my goodness, like, what a word for all of us. I mean, I love the title, Enjoy Being Wrong. And, I think that, like, for many, many years, I struggled with, like, the insecurity of an opinion that I held or an idea that I had being exposed as being incorrect. And it was exactly what he said at the end. Like, my ego was tied to it. And I've found, in my journey over the last number of years, like, there is so much freedom in realizing, oh, like, that idea that I had or that opinion that I held, that was wrong. And now that I know it's wrong, I'm way better off pushing into what's right. There's actually freedom in that. And I think that this goes into, like, it's really hard to enjoy being wrong if you take yourself way too seriously. We've talked about that idea before in the podcast, but if you take yourself incredibly seriously, you don't enjoy being wrong. But if you hold your view of yourself, open-handed or like not too high, it's pretty easy to go, oh man, I was wrong about that. Well, let's figure out what's right and do that. I was thinking, like, just even as the article was going here, of like different things that I've been wrong about, and how when realizing, oh, that was wrong, I now hold the other opinion with a lot more confidence, because just like Gideon said, it has been tested. So, like, one of these things, pricing on the showroom floor. For the first 10 years of my career in this industry, probably maybe 8 years, I worked in businesses that had no pricing on the showroom floor. And I was just convinced, no, you can't do it. And the reason that I said that, and I held the opinion, like, very fervently, is because every business I'd been in hadn't done it. And the rationale was that, well, they need to talk to a salesperson when they come in. Customers, if they just look at a price and they're not going to know what's in it, they could just walk out and leave. Or, there's no reason for them to talk to a salesperson if you have a price. And prices change so much based on the scope of the project that, like, you could never in good faith put pricing on the floor. And I mean, again, I remember, like, that was my opinion for a long time. And years ago, Jeff Hannell, who was one of my sales reps who's been on this podcast before, he was asking me about it. And I was like, pretty high and mighty about all my reasons for it. And he just simply said, yeah, Tim, but wouldn't it make sense when people came into your store if they understood how much things cost when they looked around? And like that started to like melt the ice that I had built up. And like now being on the other side of that, where I'm like adamant, everything should be priced. Everything should be priced. Like I've lived the other side. I know all the arguments for it. And like in my view, dude, those arguments are wrong. They can all be just demolished when you talk about how people want transparency, how we live in a world where like if you're not showing a price for something, or at least like an idea of a price, people think you're hiding something. There's so many arguments that just destroy this idea that we should never have pricing on our showroom floors. And part of the reason that I hold the view I have now is because I know what the other view is like. I held it. And I think that this is so good when it comes to things, is like when we enjoy being wrong, what it means is that we're on a search for truth. So like, one way to take Gideon's article would be to say, well, you can't trust anything. So, whatever opinion you have or whatever conviction you have, well, enjoy when it's, overturned. And it's not some relativistic thing. Like Gideon's article assumes there is objective truth. There is objective truth. Now, just because there is objective truth doesn't mean that I understand objective truth. So knowing that there is objective truth, as things in my worldview are proven to be false, that actually brings me into closer alignment with what that objective truth is. And this is really important. Again, like if I hold this view of pricing on the showroom floor or something like that, well, I believe that like there actually really is a right way to sell things. And as my worldview is overturned, I'm getting closer and closer to figuring out what that right way is. And that's the way that we should look at all of this. I mean, dude, I think this is true with like a lot of things, man. I think it's true with like my theology. I think it's true with my relationship with my wife, with my kids, that as I find out I'm wrong about things, rather than me throw in the towel and go, well, I guess we can never know. Well, I guess there's nothing out there, right? I guess everything is just whatever you make of it. It's all meaningless. No. What it does is it drives me closer to the truth. It's like the whole Thomas Edison thing where he's like, it's not that I failed, 100 times. It's that I found 100 ways that won't work. It's that same sort of thing. And, me and Matt Bradley talk about this all the time in our company at Wi-Fi. Like, man, we argue vehemently about ideas and about initiatives and projects and things like that. And there are things that like we'll disagree on so hard, we'll argue back and forth. And at the end of it, like one of us will be proven right and the other one will be proven wrong. And one of the gifts that I found, working with him is both of us having the humility to say, oh, I'm wrong about that. Yep, I'm convinced. Let's do your idea. Because it's like, hey, dude, best idea wins, right? There's a best idea out there, and I don't have to be the one that comes up with it. In fact, maybe the idea that I came up with or the opinion that I held was wrong. And I would actually say that it's an act of love and humility to say, you know what? You're right about that. Let's do it that way. Or to argue for what you think is correct against someone's inferior, opinion, doing it in a way that is kind and still treats them with dignity, but argues for, what the truth is, what the better argument is, and engaging in that together. I think that there is just that there's a lot there. When we enjoy being wrong, it opens us up to so many more possibilities than when we think we're right about everything. If we hold things within an open fist and say, hey, here's what I think, but if I'm wrong about this, like I'm willing to listen to arguments, because if there's a better argument, like I'm gonna pick that. Man, I think that that is really what leads to something special. I was watching an interview recently with Tim Cook. former CEO of Apple, and he came up working for and alongside of Steve Jobs. And he said one of the most remarkable things about Steve Jobs was that he would argue so vehemently for the things that he believed, and he would expect the people in the room with him to actually argue just as hard against him. And he might be yelling and screaming about, no, this is it. We got to do it this way. And somebody would point out a better argument. And Tim Cook was like, it was incredible how quick he would be to change his mind and humble himself and go, my goodness, you're absolutely right. That's what we need to do. This is the way that we build relationships, and this is the way that we build companies, is by having the humility to think somebody else might be right about this. It doesn't mean we throw out objective truth. In fact, believing in objective truth is the only way for this to lead to something. I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but like, if there is no objective truth, why are we even arguing in the first place? None of it matters. But the fact that we are arguing shows that there is an objective truth. It's not your truth versus my truth. No. There's a better way to do this, and we're going to let the arguments go against each other to clear the dross away so we can actually figure out what's going to be best. That's the way that life works. So I love this, man. Such a good article. Enjoy being wrong. Man, I was wrong about showing pricing on the showroom floor. I was wrong early on about using a sales process. I was wrong about understanding how much AI would affect businesses. There's so many things that I have been wrong about. And hopefully what that does is it leads me closer to the truth. So, man, great job in this article, Gideon. I guess the takeaway for everybody, as you go out today is don't take yourself too seriously, right? Your work is important. You have value. You have worth. You have dignity. But don't take yourself too seriously. Learn to enjoy being wrong. And I think you'll find that you end up being able to do some really, really cool stuff that would just never be possible. I mean, we see all of our political leaders today that can never admit they're wrong, right? Because that would show weakness. And the whole thing is like, no, that doesn't show weakness. It shows progress. If we want to make progress, then you got to know when you're wrong, and you need to keep moving towards the truth. So super, super good article. Super thankful to Gideon as well for writing that. If you enjoyed this article and you want to read or listen to more things like it, you can sign up for the Fire Time magazine absolutely free by going to the website itsfiretime.com/subscribe. That's itsfiretime.com/subscribe. You can do that at no charge. You can sign up by throwing your email address in, and every month when a new issue comes out, we'll send you all of the text and audio articles from that magazine. So that is all we have for today. I hope you got a ton of value out of this, and it was a blessing for you. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk again very soon. Thank you for listening to the Fire Time Podcast. To learn more, visit the website itsfiretime.com. Music from this episode was written and recorded by In Bloom out of Portland, Oregon. We thank you for listening to the Fire Time Podcast, where it's never hot enough, slow is fast, and the way to win is to make it so stupidly easy to buy from you that there's no excuse not to. We'll see you next time.